Right, so this is the emergency broadcast of ADHDville. So, what I mean by that is that Paul and I cannot make our regular episode because, for one really important reason, my laptop has it needed its battery replacing. It has started to sort of bulge. I don't know if you've ever seen that thing where your laptop rocks because your battery's going to explode. So anyway. So that's having a new battery done. Also, I have a terrible coldy, fluey lung infection. So I would have struggled to do an episode. So this means that there's going to be no proper ADHD episode until we come back. Until my laptops come back. And that is going to be in, I don't know, it could be the beginning of February. So, I'm just going to do some little short episodes just because I kind of want stuff to be out there and there's still stuff going on. So this is going to be a emergency broadcast of ADHDville. If I could roll the music, I'd do it now, but I can't because I'm doing it on my phone and it's not the same. So just imagine it goes do 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 blah 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 blah. So welcome to the emergency broadcast of ADHDville. And today's episode, as I said, comes to you from the land of tissues and tea with honey and throat lozenges. Because I'm ill, and so I thought I'd talk about ADHD and being ill, specifically kind of the colds and the flu and all of that misery. So I'm just going to share my misery with you, but from an ADHD or an ADHD perspective. So if you have ADHD, it's not just being physically sick, but things kind of go cognitively weird. And as you know, like everything becomes harder. Everything just becomes more difficult. But there's also one other little interesting thing I want to kind of talk about is that something odd also happens in that as your mind slows down, you can weirdly think more clearly. You almost become, as you become more abnormal, there's a part of your brain that becomes more normal, which is weird. And we'll kind of get into that. So let's start off with why is ADHD, brain, and sickness making it weird. Look, I've got notes here. Look, this is this is me doing an ADHD episode with notes because I don't have a laptop with my big screen, and Paul's not here, so it's a lot weirder without him. So I look forward to kind of getting back to our regular format. Anywho, let's start with the obvious place. When you have flu or cold, it's not just the flu, but it's the flu with ADHD. And the first problem is executive function, your brain energy, your what am I trying to say? Your brain diverts energy to other essential tasks, like your immune system and sort of regulating your body. There's less fuel for your executive function. There's less brain cells, for planning and organizing, and which is always hard anyway. But so whatever you did have just kind of goes out of the window. Things become a bit of a struggle. I know I'm struggling, but I'm kind of doing the essential things. Eddie's still getting fed, so you don't have to worry about him. Everyone's still getting food and drinks, and stuff's being done. Trash is being put out. Laundry's being done still. So I'm just down to the bare minimum. Anyway, so things become a struggle. Taking meds, it becomes a struggle. Like, oh yes, I know I should be taking meds in the evening, but I have to be reminded that I do have to take meds if I haven't taken my meds for today. Now that I come to think of it, drinking water feels optional, although I do have a glass here. Oh boy, my skin feels like it's someone else's. I must blah 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 blah. Anyway, and food, making food feels like climbing Everest. Feels like a lot of work. So there's a lot of things to struggle. Your body wants rest, and to kind of chill out and not do anything. But your ADHD brain is still there, buzzing along in the background. It kind of wants stimulation of some kind. So they are at odds again. As I kind of said, they're having ADHD and autism is a bit like having a brother and sister that fight all the time. And they're kind of quieting down a little bit during this time. So what other problems we've got? Sensory problems. Sound is louder. Lights become a lot harsher. You just kind of want to have a really dimly lit room. Like all of that stimulation. Clothes feel weirder. So if you do have sensory issues, and I know I have some, they become a lot more intense, right? But I do have, so it's time for those favourite hoodies and your favourite snuggly things. So you can just snuggle in them. Okay. I'm just living in my hoodie currently. Also, sorry. Also, emotional regulation goes out the window as well. Being sick means all your coping mechanisms are shot. You can easily get distracted. You can't regulate as effectively. I still can't talk in proper sentences, but as usual. And your frustration tolerance for the outside world, that just drops to the floor, right? So like you are, it's like everything is so much more intense, which is not much fun for everyone. But here's the thing that no one talks about much is, like, as I said at the beginning, like, why can the ADHD brain slow down? So, why can it suddenly feel like there's a part of your brain that's kind of like almost becomes normal? Like it can rationally think about things. It's weird. Like there's not those 101 competing things and all those tabs being open. And things just become a little bit more sort of simpler. And things, this is nice actually. Right, because like somewhere between fever dreams and coughing, which is what I'm doing. Something as I said, something unexpected happens. The brain goes quiet, well, part of it anyway. As I said, you close all those tabs down. You drop the internal pressure on yourself to kind of do things, to respond to things, to create things. You can almost just kind of push so much other crap out, and that really helps. It almost becomes like this kind of, for me, it becomes this sort of dreamlike state where you kind of float along. So what is going on there? Well, part of it is you have lower dopamine demand. So when you're sick, your brain reprioritizes. Survival mode kicks in. The need for stimulation drops. There's less chasing for things, less seeking things, less mental brain work being done. You're bouncing around this, that, and the other. Also, having a cold and flu and being kind of like whacked out like that forces a certain simplicity on you. Did I just spit? I hope not. So you aren't trying to manage 10 competing priorities at once, or you're not managing social interactions because you're not really seeing people, strangers, so much. You're not solving loads and loads of problems. Everything kind of essentially stops. And thirdly, you do have permission to stop because you're bloody well ill. You're like half dead. So there is less guilt. There's less self-judgment going on. All that psychological permission to stop creates a mental space which you can kind of exist in and feel a little bit calmer in. And you think, oh, is this what normal people feel like? Just like trotting along, doing things. Perhaps. Forgive me having water. I'm just trying to speak through all of this. But what is important, I think, is this is a little bit like what it's like. This kind of calmness, if you do kind of feel it, is what it's like when demand is lowered, pressure is removed, expectations disappear. This is a reminder that the more things that we pile on in our life, the harder we make it for ourselves. So I know for me personally, I've been trying to kind of cut out a lot of things that don't make sense to me anymore in my life, and pressures and demands, and try and focus on things that are well, that don't create so much anxiety and pressure. And even when I kind of do, if I do choose to pick up a project, I kind of I try and plan it out so that there's less pressure on myself. Try and not give myself a hard time if I thought I was going to do something next week and it takes me a month. That's totally fine. So it's valuable to remind ourselves that if we look to reduce pressure on our internal systems, we make it easier on ourselves. We can, by creating fewer choices. I always think that the fewer choices that we have, the better. The fewer options that we allow ourselves, the better. Options are good, in life, do I want to go down path A or path B or path C? But when you've got path A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, and all the way to Z, you end up in the state of paralysis, of decision paralysis, that you want to keep all the options open, but you never get anywhere. So, reducing down choices is always going to be a really great skill to kind of get nailed down, to be able to edit your choices down. What else? Fewer inputs hitting you will make it easier on ourselves as well. So, we all know this. If we push ourselves, we go here, we go there, we go to this social function, then we go to this other thing, and then we've got this other task that we have to do. If we pile it all on and get all this input and social interactions and problems, that just that's a path to meltdowns. Also, trying to kind of create fewer expectations on ourselves as well. As I said earlier, my expectations for myself currently when I'm ill is, feed, food, water, make sure that Eddie gets Eddie, my dog, he gets all of his needs met exactly the same whether I'm ill or not. He's just asleep down there, so that's important. But yeah, I mean, like expectations as far as like all those nice little things that I was hoping to do, yeah, that they're just going to be shelved. I'll do them some other time and give my permission to rest. Which in the Western world, this idea of resting is it's looked down on, right? It's rest is not laziness. For us, rest is regulation. We need it. We need it to reset ourselves, to calm ourselves down, our minds down. Because without it, we just go off the rails way too quickly. So rest is an essential part of our lives, and if you have a busy life, yes, you'll often find that when you do sit down and rest, that you feel guilty about it. I know that when I kind of sit down, there's this to do list always in the back of my mind. Oh, I've got to fix this, I've got to fix that, I've got to repaint this thing and whatever. Like that, there's always something. There's always 100 little tasks that I have to do. So it's important to remind ourselves, especially when we're ill, that rest is really important. And I say all this as an ill person, knowing full well that I have a partner, so a lot of this becomes easier because I've got there is someone else who will support me, and this does not apply to everyone, I know. So if you're on your own, things still need to happen. Pets have to be fed, essential life tasks still have to be done. You have to feed and hydrate yourself. It's not it's a lot harder when you are on your own. So I feel that's makes it a lot harder. Right, well that was it. That was my little short little episode. I hope that I will get better sometime in the next couple of days. This current bug is apparently a bit of a bastard in that it does what does it do? It hangs around for a long time. It seems so. Anyway, so as I said, my laptop will be coming back in the next couple of weeks, probably towards the end of January. So the next full episode will probably be in when will it be? As I said, beginning of February. But next Tuesday, I will attempt to do another one of these little short episodes, just because. But yeah, if you've managed to get this far, thank you so much. Paul and I really appreciate your support. And we do the podcast because we just want to. Because if it helps one person, then it was all worth it. So yeah, at this point, I would normally there'd be a quiz around now. I have no quiz partner for this. If you do like the quizzes, say so. If you don't like the quizzes, get in the comments and tell us that it's just a boring waste of your time. So we read all the comments. All right, I can feel that my brain is starting to shut down now. So I'll say that this is it. ADHD is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and rate us. Most sick. Booyah! Booyah! Oh boy. And there's something else that happens. Blah blah blah. If you wish to see our beautiful faces that aren't so ill, then go and pop over to YouTube's and the TikToks where where I tend to hang out. And but in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself. And then when the music plays here, and then the music plays here, and then the little thing that says, "There," says the bear. That's that, and then we just fade out. All right. See you next Tuesday.